Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Blangdmire deck profile for June 2024. This is the Faded One of Zero's deck, the Dark States Divine skill deck used by Suo Yobutsugi in the Cardfight Vanguard Divines series. A very, very awesome deck that brings back everything to zero. A very strong Vanguard skill, adding pressure with the Vanguard attack in and of itself, with Blangdmire's ability to be able to use its Divine skill to be able to put your opponent down to zero. Very, very fun and very, very useful with all of the new cards, along with some of the older Energy Blast cards from the previous set. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck itself. We run the energy generator as normal. Our grade 0 is Cavity Maligia, or Maligia, I believe is how you pronounce that. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Hollow Raptor. When rode upon by Vacant Fang, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Put all of the grade 1 or greater cards into the soul from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. If you put 2 or more cards in your soul, draw a card. So just set up for your soul that you'll use very soon with your grade 3 Vanguard. Our grade 2 is Vacant Fang. When rode upon by a grade 3 card with Blangdmire and its card name, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Put all grade 1 or greater cards from the soul among them, and then shuffle the deck. If you put 2 or more cards, draw a card. So more soul setup using your ride deck, with our grade 3 being Faded One of Zero, Blangdmire. With the one we are running in the ride deck for the added power of Persona Ride, we're running 3 additional copies in the main deck as well. On Vanguard, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, bind 2 or more or up to 4 cards from your soul face down, and you may draw a card. If you bound 4 or more cards, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and bind them face down, and this unit gets plus 5,000 till the end of that battle for every 2 face down cards in your bind zone. So this is the setup that you do, restricting your opponent's units, but the main play comes down to Blangdmire's Divine skill. On the Vanguard at the beginning of the guard step of that battle, this unit attack, if your bind zone has 8 or more face down cards, you may have this unit get critical +1 until the end of turn. And then also, if you do, your opponent cannot call or play Sentinels from hand until the end of turn. Choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, and until end of your opponent's next turn, all of your opponent's units and that unit's abilities are nullified. So with this, it really just reduces your opponent down to 0 with their Vanguard, making it so they don't have any of their abilities. They can't activate Persona Ride. They don't have Twin Drive. You name it, it shuts down all of those plays that they can do. So you have a heavily, pressured Vanguard attack to go up against your opponent using the Faded One of Zero, and being able to take down all of their rear guards from choosing 2 of them to bind face down as well. It just helps to speed along the Divine skill for you to use the following turn. For the other grade 3s that we run in the deck, 4 copies of Single Strike Shatter Colossus. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your bind zone has 4 or more face down cards, you may have this unit get plus 10 till the end of that battle. If you do, at the end of that battle, put this unit into your soul. And when this card's put into the soul by your card's ability, if you have a Vanguard grade 3 or greater with Blangdmire and its card name, bind this card face down and draw a card, helping to assist with the bind power of putting cards face down that the Faded One of Zero is meant to do. This card just helps to speed things along, giving you draw power while also setting up more cards for you just to be able to use the Divine skill all the faster. And for the grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Steam Raider Zamoog. When placed on rear guard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, counterblast 1, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, put any number of cards into the soul from among them, shuffle the deck. If you put 1 or more cards into the soul, you may draw a card. So it's draw power on top of the soul setup for your cards. So we're just being able to put cards like your Single Strike Shatter Colossus, since it was put by a card ability, you'll be able to use the bind skill from that as well. And on the rear guard, when this unit attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, and this unit's critical is 1 or less, you can Energy Blast 3, and this unit gets plus 5 and critical +1 until the end of that battle. So if you have to split your trigger options with your critical triggers, you can at least then have the option to then use your critical on your other unit, and then have the Energy Blast to be able to have Zamoog gain 1 additional critical and additional power as well. the other grade 2s that we run in the deck, 4 copies of Steam Gunner Tiskar. Now, the big thing is your Blangdmire doesn't use energy blast abilities, so down to Zamoog, and this unit as well, you have more of the options for your energy blast to give you draw power, and also use the soul charge ability of when it's placed on rearguard. If you persona road this turn, being able to counter blast 1 or energy blast 3 to soul charge 1, and have this unit get boost as well, so you can provide additional power as a boost option to any of the units you may want to attack also. For the grade 1s, I was able to get a good majority of the deck finished. Sadly, I was only able to get 2 copies of Evoke Alchemist, but you definitely do want to run 4 of this card. On rearguard during the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, it gets plus 5,000 power. And also on rearguard, when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, this unit gets plus 2,000 till the end of that battle. If your bind zone has 4 or more face down cards, counter plus 1, choose one of your front row rearguards and stand it. If your bind zone has 8 or more face down cards, that unit gets plus 15,000 till end of turn. So it's the multiple attack option as well for you to be able to attack with some of your other rear guards and then restand them for added pressure after your Vanguard is finished attacking your opponent's Vanguard and reducing down that Vanguard to 0. And also, for the other grade 1s, 3 copies of Clerical Star Demonic Lady Bifrons. Testing out this card in the deck when it's placed on rearguard from hand. Counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose 1 card from among them, put it into your hand. Choose a card from among them, put it into your soul, and discard the rest. So more soul buildup, since another card that can put a card into the soul due to a card ability. The rest of the abilities with this card comes down to using all Majestar. So if you don't want to run this card, you can always put cards like Brainwash Swirler instead of this as a placeholder for this card in the deck also. Some of the other grade 1s we run are the Mind Hacker. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000 and shield plus 5 as additional boost options and guard against your opponent. And also the 2 copies of Steam Artist Aeroswarm. When placed on rearguard, soul charge 1. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Instead of soul charge 1, choose up to 2 cards from among them, put them into your soul. If you did not put 2 cards, shuffle the deck. And from the back row rearguard at the end of your turn, if the critical of your Vanguard with Blangdmire and its card name was increased by the Divine Skill, retire this unit, draw a card. And if your other unit with the same card name as this was not retired by this turn, until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent gets, at the beginning of your ride phase, choose a card from your hand. You may discard it. If you do not, you cannot ride or stride until the end of turn. So I thought of running 4 of this card just for more of a restriction. I have 2 copies of Keen Prodigy Yuxuan for more of a draw power in the deck as well. But potentially you could add in 2 more copies of the card that restricts your opponent from going into the next grade 3. You would just take out 2 copies of the Keen Prodigy and add 4 more additional copies of that card to the deck. And then lastly, for the grade 1s, the Sentinel lineup, the 1 Elementaria Sanctitude, and the 3 copies of Ridicule Disruptor for the Sentinel lineup. I also run the 1 copy of Evergreen Transfer. You can run Gradius Gradel for the Regalis piece in the deck. This is just more of a defensive option to use against your opponent as well, to avoid against the over-trigger pressure that they may have once their Vanguard's at 0. And then for the critical, or the trigger lineup, 7 critical, so 4 copies of Light Elemental Pachiri and 3 copies of Stem Deviate Dragon. If you have a 4th copy, you can always just replace one of the Light Elementals for another copy of that card. And also the 4 copies of Diablos Girl Natalia for the added shield power, but also just more pressure to the front row that you can give power to. So less to decide upon if you're going for all the guard pressure of going up against your opponent with your Blangdmire Vanguard. And also the 4 copies of Direful Doll Alexandra for the heal trigger choice. And also our over trigger is Spiritual King of Aquatics Eidos Faro for the recycle option from the drop zone, and then being able to choose one of our units and give it an additional critical also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Figured we'd start off with probably one of the more hyped up decks for the Divine Skill from the Illusionless Strife booster set. And I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.